Hello everybody, welcome back to Rough Cut Woodworking. This is going to be the first in a series of videos about making cabinets. Now remember, there are many different ways to make cabinets. In our shop we make what's called a European style, a 32 millimeter, as opposed to traditional style that has a face frame. So in my shop, I'm going to start off by just going through all the pieces, and I've just kind of run through the shop, rummaged around and scabbed a bunch of pieces together just so you can see all the parts. The toe kick, the boxes, the L molding, the crown molding. What do all these words mean and how do they fit together very briefly? So it's not an in-depth video. We start first on the bottom. So I'm going to start with a toe kick. Now as you can see, this toe kick is just made from particle board. Now you can make these toe kicks with a finished front if you wish. In my case, I just tend to skin it with a 1/4 inch skin, which we'll get to in just a second. Now these toe kicks this is a very small one obviously, but they can be anywhere from tiny to 10, 12 feet long. It just depends on how many cabinets go on it. So instead of having an attached toe where every cabinet has to be leveled, we make toe kicks and then level the toe kicks first, and then all the cabinets just sit on top of them. Now, in addition, as you can see from the side view, this is the front, and it is a 1/2 inch deeper than the rest of the toe kick. So this is 4 inches tall from here to here, and these are 3.5 inches tall. And the reason that we do that is so that I can level it. If the floor is here and it has to dip down to be level, that 1/2 inch allows me to do that. So I found that the installation's a little bit easier. We just shim the back to make it level. So let me zoom in a little bit on the ground floor and kind of show you how this goes in, and we'll build up from there. Since wall space is a bit in high demand in my shop, we're just putting it against a door here. Here's a toe kick, here's the front, that goes down on the floor. Obviously that's not level, it's now sitting back a 1/2 inch. So what we do is we just take a couple of shims, and we're going to just shim up the back until it's level. Now I'm taking a wild guess here, but keep shimming, put a level on it, it's level. Now obviously the outside isn't going to be particle board the whole time. We want it to be colored something. So we make toe kick skins out of 1/4 inch MDF or some other material to match what the client wants. This is just a piece of 1/4 inch MDF that's been painted white. They're usually 8 feet long, and we cut them down into smaller pieces, and that piece gets just put on the front and possibly the sides depending on what is seen. So once this is all attached and level, then we start putting on the boxes. So let me put the first box on and we'll build up from there. Here's our first box. Now depending on what the client wants, it could be a standard box like this one with a drawer and a door, double doors, 4 drawers, whatever. The box is simply the outside. I'm just referring to the outside box, the white stuff out of melamine that is made that everything goes into. So without any doors, without any drawer fronts yet, we'll deal with all that later. So that goes on the toe kick. And as you can see, there's about a 3.5 inch overhang here for your feet to sit. So when I'm standing at it, my foot will go underneath that. It's more comfortable. On top of here, we have our countertop. Now my shop, we don't produce countertops. However, I'm just going to put some 2 3/4 inch shelves on it to represent that 1.5 inches that countertops usually are, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. Not exactly high class, but you get the idea. Countertop goes across the front, and that's going to overhang anywhere from 1 inch or so to 1.5 inches, somewhere in that range. And then from here up, we want an 18-inch gap. 18 inches is pretty standard for appliances to sit under and things like that. So now we have our upper cabinet. So let me zoom out and show you that. So here we have an upper cabinet, and obviously it's not going to be sitting on the countertop, but I don't have anything to hold it on the wall for this. But it should be sitting somewhere in this neighborhood, so there's a big gap between the countertop and the box. So I'll just set it there for now so you can see. Upper cabinets are usually a little less intense than the lower cabinets just because they're a box and they have adjustable shelves, and that's pretty much it. A few doors, of course. On top of this is where it starts getting a little more complicated because the ceiling is here. Let me zoom into the top a little and show you how we deal with that. I've zoomed into the top of the cabinet on the side so you can kind of see what we're doing here. And when I put my cabinets in, I make it so there's a 4-inch gap between the top of the cabinet and the ceiling. So we have, to fill that gap, what's called L molding. Now this, again, we make in 8-foot lengths, but as you can see, it's just a piece of 3.5-inch MDF and a 1.5-inch, and we just nail them together with glue and so forth, and we just spray it so the parts you're going to see. This sits like that on the cabinet. It actually sticks out about here, so the door here will make that flush all the way down. And if the ceiling is high, a vaulted ceiling, we'll nail it here. If the ceiling is here, a 1/2 inch above, I'll just nail it on the inside of the cabinet. And this L molding will also go on the sides of exposed sides like that, and it'll wrap around. Once that's down on there, we're going to add on crown mold. Obviously this crown molding has not been painted white, but this is what it looks like. And the crown mold will fill whatever space is left between the top of the L and the ceiling. Whether it's way down here or up a little higher, it doesn't matter. This exposed area doesn't make a difference. We're just filling the open space. And then that will go to the ceiling here, and then we caulk around to make it look good. So that's all the pieces of the cabinets. When I have a class set up to do cabinet making, I have a couple of different teams going because I have numerous kids. So here's how I break them up. One team is assigned to make all of the boxes. So they do both the lower boxes and the upper boxes. I always have them start with the lower boxes because all the drawers go in them, and that allows another team to move on to another step. So we get the lowers done first, and then we do the upper second. Another team does the toe kicks, all of the skins and fillers, and the L molding. Now when I say skins and fillers, if this is against a wall, I always want a bit of a filler here so that when the door opens, it doesn't hit the wall. So I always put this a little bit away. And it just makes sense. If the wall isn't straight and you're trying to fit it in super tight, it's good to have some space to be able to fill, to be able to work with if it's a little tighter than you measured. So they make all of those skins and fillers. A skin, like the toe kick skin that covers it up, a skin on the side. If this is an exposed side, we have a piece of 3/4 MDF that is painted, and it's just screwed onto the side. So it looks good. Another team is just making doors. We usually have tons of doors, and each one has at least 5 parts. We have 2 stiles, 2 rails, and a panel, and that is a big job. So just doors. And the last team is on drawer fronts and drawer boxes. Okay, that is their only job. Boxes we make out of 1/2-inch birch, and we'll get into that later on. But those are the 4 main jobs, and some of those can break off into little offshoots as well. That depends on how the team wants to set it up. But that's how I break down those. Now we're going to get started on making boxes, so I can explain that. And each video after this will explain another part of this until we assemble everything at the end.